what will be okay in 4 years, because we will be bossed by then. Now, this is the only answer. So look, we've got to get some different line, and we haven't the money. Sorry, we're bossed. And to come up with 11 million, wanting 11 billion from us, you'd think we'd hop from millions to billions, and so they're all the same. So, questions I'm sure for everybody else.
Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, Martin, right?
Yeah, 11 billion
Yeah.
over how many years?
Over, we don't know. We don't know.
Over 5 years.
The thing hasn't been set
When
up.
they
Well,
need
actually,
it.
you know.
They need to get the money off us when we're on our knees. In other words, when a particular country in Europe needs it, in other words, when most likely the rest of us will probably be in trouble as well, they'll come and look for up to the remaining, after paying the initial sum, that 1.3 billion, they can come and look for the rest. But they can actually look for more than 11 billion. Where are we going to get it? It's not there. Like, we've got to be honest with Europe. Whatever about our relationship with Europe and how they treat us or we treat them, you've got to be honest. And if we were to be honest here on what they're planning to do, you would have to say it is not possible to do it. Not unless, as I said on the radio yesterday, unless you actually start feeding us on worms out of the fields. That's the only way this is possible, and I'm not prepared to go down that road.
Simple maths, the simple mathematics is, what's the agricultural budget? 2.5. Total for Ireland.
For Ireland, 1.6 billion. That's
1.6 billion. So,
That's the cap,
yeah, so it appears from what you were saying that the 11 billion, on one hand they'll give us 1.6 billion every year, but if we have to give over 11 billion over 10 years, they'll have it all taken back again. Right, I want to ask one question, another question. For farming, the threat to the agricultural, for farmers, the threat to the agricultural budget would be obviously the single biggest issue. Are you saying, as an ad hoc committee, as you said yourself, right, that you want cast iron guarantees from Germany on the Irish section of the CAP budget? Would that, is that what you're
It would
saying?
have to be EU, from the EU, yes, cast iron guarantee, ring-fed, that the cap budget is ring-fenced from any attack from the EU to provide funds, to provide funding for the ESM budget, if for the ESM fund, if the ESM fund becomes deficient. Because you know that Spain is on the brink of having to enter a programme. You don't know the situation with Italy. So at the moment you have 3 countries in a programme, namely Greece, Portugal and Ireland. There's 2 other vulnerable countries, namely Spain and Italy. And they haven't gotten, the 700 billion wouldn't be enough to cover the latter 2.
Have the yes side asked for a cast iron guarantee?
To my knowledge they haven't. Because, and that's why I think that the organisations that we're part of rushed into making a decision based on a promise, a vague promise, maybe a concession.
But farmers would also need a cast iron guarantee. Farmers would also need a cast iron guarantee as well. That like farmers' kids go to schools that are being run down in order to pay back this debt that isn't ours. And schools that the farmers' kids go to, and hospitals, and all the other services that they use will be run down if we go down this route. I'm not saying the alternative is going to be easy, but at least there will potentially be some light at the end of the tunnel if you go the other direction. Because the way we're going, it's an impossible route that they're sending us down. We cannot do it. It's not, it doesn't add up, and if it doesn't add up, it doesn't add up.
Sorry, through the chair, just on this point, this man here has brought up. Have the yes side asked for anything? All the yes side have asked for is money to put out leaflets. The yes side have given the referendum commission 2 million less than they did the last time, and they're spending the other 2 million in promotion and putting up leaflets. That's what they've done.
Is that legal to put up?
Sure. What's legal and what's illegal? They're making it up as they go along. I think it's such a tragedy and a travesty that this once proud nation is ran into a cul-de-sac, boxed into a corner after 20 years of what has turned out for us to be a delinquent currency. I think nothing highlights or illustrates the absurdity of the situation than we having a currency where 60% or 62% of our exports are traded in another currency. We have lost the 2 fundamental instruments of protecting the currency of a nation, setting interest rates and currency exchange rates. the ability and the power to devalue. I mean, it's beyond farcical when you really sit down and listen to it. There's different rules as it emerges for Spain. Spain will have, it appears, direct access to the ESF. They won't then even put their money on the sovereign debt. Everything that has been done since 08, since the debacle in 08, has been done, as we all know, for one reason and one reason only, that is to protect the euro. The bank guarantee, 3 shares of it till in protect the euro. Everything else down the line. The NAMA, the model that NAMA was to protect the euro. And now we find ourselves in a situation where they're running out of ground. The euro is losing value even as we speak. It has not addressed, or could not hope to address, the insolvency problems in Europe. The failed finance houses that lent a multiple of their asset base, and they seem to want to go on down that road. Well, it's time for Ireland to have an exit strategy, and let them see by voting no. Let them see how much value they put in their euro. If they want to prop it up if we vote no, let them see how much they're able to put into it. That's what I say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Sorry, right.
Thanks, panel, for coming along and sharing your thoughts with us. Very informative. And I'd just like to wish Thomas Pringle good luck on his battle with the High Court. And, you know, and my experience is that the government can be beaten. Now, there's been several cases where individuals have made a huge difference. And if we just have enough confidence and trust in our campaign, if you like, and like just a matter of the trees, when an article appeared in the Daily Mail about the trees, about setting up our trees, they backed out. But anyway, the thing is, the thing is about farming is, I have a friend who has 3,000 acres in Connemara. Now, he can't even grow a head of cabbage in that 3,000 acres because of EU rules. He spent 50,000 euros going through the High Court to try to, what the government is sending back to Europe is sending back to the government. He still can't send a head of cabbage. So my question is, do the farmers actually own their land? Because if they're going to be dictated to by Brussels, they don't own their land. I mean, years ago, a farmer could plant, he could set it to spuds or turnips or whatever he wanted, but he can't do it now. He's told, set aside, you know, oh, we'll give you money, just go down and have a big dinner down the pub and you'll be fine and we'll keep feeding you. The ultimate aim of Europe, in my estimation, is to take the natural and important assets from the people of this country. You know, farming and forestry, ESB, the whole assets are being stripped slowly but surely from the people of this country. And it's time that the people stood up as a united people, not just farmers or union members or doctors, but as a people, as an Irish people, we should stand up and be counted. That's my take on it.
Over-regulation is certainly a big problem. Now, any queries from the press now that along the line? Anyone, any queries?
One more question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am aware, James, that you already, I think, have been disciplined by the IFA over this particular matter.
Yes,
right?
I was.
Is it true that you've been expelled because
my membership of IFA has been suspended for 1 year by decision of Longford County Executive 1 week before the Executive Council of IFA met and passed a unanimous resolution in favour of looking for a yes vote.
Does David expect a similar activity? Because I suspect farm organisations don't take dissidents or rebels too lightly.
Well,
I expect similar action against you.
I don't know. I know I was suspended the last time of the Lisbon Treaty, but in all honesty, we want to get information out there. The information isn't there, so I can't see anything awfully wrong in putting it out. And the only way to put it out is the way we're going about it. And certainly our conclusion is it should be a vote no, a very strong vote no. And that would be the best thing both for the country and for the farmers. And we're walking into it. It's being done the wrong way around. Literally to find a reason, a real reason to vote yes is very, very difficult. Would be the way
It's profoundly undemocratic of the IFA not to consult with its people before it actually comes out and takes a position. And it is even more undemocratic then if its members who have not had their opinions listened to, that then when they come out and voice their opinions, they are disciplined. That to me is not, like Europe apparently was meant to be about democracy and strengthening democracy and stopping wars so that democracy could thrive. And what has it done? Here we have people who try and stand up for their people, for the farmers, they get silenced. You get silenced in Greece if you say you want to have a referendum to ask the people's opinion. You get silenced in Italy and you get a technocrat put in place. And they're going to try and do it over and over again. And as someone who believes in democracy, and in particular in democracy that should be as close as possible to the people at a very local level. I ain't no nationalist. This is not about nationalism. This is about keeping the power close to the people. And we seem to have a problem in this state, and it's ironic given that we're called the Fighting Irish and we fought to get free from the British. What did we do when we got our freedom? It took us a few years to take all the powers off the councils because you can't trust the people to vote for the right people. And now that it was put up to Dublin, the ones in Dublin are saying, we can't be trusted, so we've got to give the power to Europe. I thought it was very interesting yesterday to hear a Fianna Fail TD on radio come out with a statement that we need something to stop us from abusing our power. Now, look at they were the ones who abused the power. If they want Fianna Fail to stop abusing the power when they get it, make it a prescribed organisation if they want to create rules to stop abuse.
In fairness to IFA, they did pass it in the council,
But they didn't.
but not at the council. Well, some councils may have it.
Just as a clarification, David, and David will agree with me on this, IFA and ICMSA are not trade unions. There is a distinction. If you're a member and you'll notice that members of the NUJ or members of any public service or private sector union, their members are balloted. IFA members are not balloted. And you know, the irony is every 4 years we elect a president and we are balloted on the election. Every member from every branch, 945 branches, has a say in relation to who will be the next president of IFA. But every member has not a say in relation to whether they support or reject a treaty of such paramount importance as the Fiscal Treaty that will have far more impact on the lives of farm families than no matter who you put in as IFA president.
Thank you.
Surely that seems very bad for the IFA. Surely, I'm sure that any farmer that is a member of the IFA should get up there and seize membership, if that's the carry on of the IFA.
Or alternatively, use your membership positively and raise these issues. Seamus, you live in Westmeath, in Westmeath County Executive, Longford Executive, Cork Executive. We have a structure there, and the problem is that farmers are very shy and reluctant to speak out of turn in terms of criticising the hierarchy. You know this from experience.
But sure, the IFA was always an organisation for the big farmers. They were useless to the small farmers like myself and thousands of small farmers.
Depends which county you're in, yeah.
They want to extinguish the small farmer.
They do,
Well,
that's
no.
what they want.
And the government has gone along with them, so there was never a time better.
Look,
for
gentlemen, we're here to talk about a no vote.
Yeah.
We don't want to be bringing individual farming organisations into it.
Did not the
Yes,
ICSA put off having a vote
Yes.
on this?
They did, yes.
So there is one farm organisation still sitting on the fence.
Yes.
Have you had any contact with them? Do you know what their feeling of it is, their Cattlemen's Association?
They're to answer you, Martin, at the moment they're undecided because they're going to facilitate a bid among their own members. I believe there are a number of public meetings, and I believe they're inviting economists who speak on the no side and people, representatives of the government part of the Fine Gael party and other and Fianna Fail as well to speak at these events on the yes side.
So you're not entirely on your own then?
Not entirely.
Not yet.
So I think we'll have more than 50% of the population on our side after the referendum.
Seamus Brannigan from Campaign for Social Europe. Just to congratulate this group on setting up and adding to the truthful information that the Irish people need before this referendum. There's two questions I think arising from the discussion that I'd like the panel to comment on. As what James Reynolds was saying, yesterday the Minister for Agriculture, Mr. Coveney, spent an hour on Pat Kenny's radio show from Athlone and never once mentioned the CAP. Is this a deliberate omission that they don't want to talk about it, or do they not know what it's all about? The other question is, and Anthony referred to it, the German Bundestag has postponed the vote on ratification of this austerity treaty. And I'd like to comment on what you see, and the TDs as well, the politics of this, and what advantages there are now for Ireland. And I think it's directly related to the election of Mr. Hollande in France. The Council of Ministers is meeting him for the first time on the 23rd of May. The vote was in the Bundestag was to be on the 25th of May. The German opposition, Social Democrats and the Greens and others, Die Linke, objected to Merkel rushing through the vote. She can't do it because they need 2/3 majority in the Bundestag and the other house, the Bundesrat, to get this treaty ratified. So what would you see, current immediate situation, the advantages that the Irish government could do in improving our position vis-a-vis the programmes and the bank debt and all of that?
Anthony, maybe you'd like to answer that.
Well, it's too late to postpone the referendum. The ministers made an order and the whole referendum machinery is up and running. And that's really the reason why people, as Shane Ross was saying very eloquently this morning on the Pat Kenny programme, that the people should vote no to this, even on the assumption that if there's some wonderful growth pact down the road, well then let's look at the fiscal treaty again, because the fiscal treaty doesn't have to come into force until the 1st of January 2013. It comes into force when 12 Eurozone states have ratified it. So far, I understand only Greece, Portugal, and I think Slovakia have ratified. 3 of the 25 signatory states, but up to 12 of the 17 Eurozone states must ratify it for it to come into force. So there's plenty of time. If there's going to be some grand growth pact worked out by Mr. Hollande and Chancellor Merkel down the road, well, that would change, of course, the parameters, change the political and economic context. Let's look at it again down the road. So people on the yes side should vote no for that very good reason, as Shane Ross was saying. And we hope that that's what's going to happen. I think it will be resoundingly rejected, and the government will have a lot of egg in its face for its silly haste with which it's been pushing this thing through when it didn't have to.
Would you like to word?
Yeah, well, obviously the scent of change has, there's a wind blowing in the direction of Germany, and they're smelling the fact that Hollande can be a good partner. Well, the SPD are thinking that, and they'd be right to think that, because there's massive opportunities there. From the point of view of an opportunity for Ireland, there would be an opportunity if the Labour Party, which comes from the same stable as these two parties, made common cause with them and worked with them. And given that they can't postpone it now, the Labour Party could come out and campaign against this referendum and go along with their brothers in the socialist movement. And unfortunately, they're not doing that. And actually, horrifically last night, Lucinda Creighton, who is apparently an expert on all of this, told us that look, there's no point renegotiating this, no matter what, even if there was a better deal for us, because A, it took a long time to do it, and B, because there was a lot of compromises. Now, the bit where she said there was a lot of compromises made, I'm wondering who was compromised. I think it was Enda Kenny compromised, and our country that was compromised. And if that's the case, that we were the only ones, well, even in her own head, she should be going along with what we're saying. Vote no because it's wrong, and vote no because it's not time yet.
Yeah, I suppose I take a bit of slightly dissenting view in relation to the impact that Hollande is going to make in terms of growth and that within Europe. I mean, all we have to do is remember back to Frankfurt's Way or Labour's Way and the pre-election promises of the Labour Party. And I suppose any commentator looking at Ireland in the run-up between February and the formation of a government here last year would be saying, no, this is a government that's not going to go with the austerity programme, and this is a government that's going to bring change to what Ireland is the road that Ireland is on. And we have seen to our pain since then what has actually happened. But I think that regardless of any growth compact or any growth declaration or any growth statement that they come up with between now and the treaty, this treaty on its merits should be defeated. This treaty is incompatible with growth. It completely ties the hands of any and every future Irish government in terms of developing a growth policy. We have to maintain a permanently balanced budget. We have to reduce our national debt, and then we have to fund our schools, our education, our health services, and pay interest on our existing debts. So where are we going to get growth from? It's not possible. Austerity is incompatible with growth. That's the basic line that economists talk about. So what we need to do is throw out the Fiscal Compact, and yes, then bring in a growth compact and change the shape of what Europe is doing.
Thank you very much, James.
Just concur with the previous speakers, especially in the light of the President Hollande being elected in France, the collapse of the Dutch government, and the recent Greek elections, where the majority of Greek voters have voted to reject the policies of austerity, the Merkozy agenda, and also the fact that the German Bundestag, the German Parliament, and Bundesrat are going to postpone ratification for 2 months. What the hell are we voting on this thing for on the 31st of May? It's embarrassing. It must be embarrassing for Enda Kenny and for people in his government to be asking people to vote for this treaty. Just in relation, you asked a question in relation to Simon Coveney and the cap. If you realised the risk to which the cap budget is at the moment, the risk that's there, the Fiscal Compact is ratified, would you want to raise it? That you'd leave that under the carpet and hope for the best and
So
expect
it's
the
a
worst?
deliberate omission, you think?
It's a deliberate omission, yeah, because it's fun. As I said to you, it's not my words. Professor Alan Matthews, Trinity, has said this.
So any other query from the press? Are we all happy so?
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed of the whole of the
Thank
panel,
you.
and I hope that the message that we're sending out will come out hard and strong. And definitely, no, it's a fiscal treaty, it's a wrong order, wrong time, and that Ireland should be allowed to stand on her own 2 feet. And we don't want our whole budgetary scene to be taken over for all time by outsiders. We must look after our own. Thank you very much.
Thank you.